We're halfway down Caldecott Road, I believe it's called, by the River Thames, and we're stood here because we get a view in the distance. We can see a tree line in the distance and a pylon peering through. The pylon marks approximately the spot where we're walking along to, which is the site of an old quarry, which is now a lake, and hopefully we will get some views of that lake in a few moments. Well, we're standing adjacent to a water-filled old gravel pit in South Abingdon, and just to the side of me here is Peephoe Day Lane and the wonderful scenery of the Abingdon sewage works. Yeah, we look across to a Waterfield Lake, which was once the site of the discovery of the Abingdon Ichthyosaur, which is now reclining gracefully in a showcase in the top floor, in the attic floor of Abingdon Museum. Well, looking at the lake now, back in it was 1982, December 1982, and I came cycling down here, and the purpose was to, we were walking the quarry floors, and Curtis's, the gravel company, had just previously excavated about 2 metre thickness of gravel, which is the commercial hardcore for concrete. Anyway, this area was down to a clay surface about 2 metres down from the level I am standing on now, and it was a great expanse of clay surface, quite flat. It had been dug off by a large Ackerman excavator, and such was the skill of the driver, he managed to machine away every little tiny drop of Pleistocene gravel containing all our lovely mammoth remains and little bits and pieces of stone tools and so forth. And that had all been removed by a dumper truck and taken over to the screen plant, which is just adjacent down the road here. Previously, the week before, it had been raining quite heavily, and this is always a good time to go and examine these clay floors of gravel pits, because fossils weather out. And I can strongly recall, prior to the discovery of the Ichthyosaur, seeing great spreads of ammonites. They got flattened, but the original aragonite shells were preserved as great big areas of sort of flattened ammonites, and this was obviously very encouraging, and highlighting hopefully future discoveries of local fossils. Anyway, I wandered over into across the floor and came across some white weathered tiny rib fragments, and one tend to link up with another, and then I spotted a couple of vertebrae, and I started to get very interested at this point, and started to probe around with the trowel, and there was yet more, and it all appeared to be getting pretty exciting, and it looks as if we were maybe dealing with an intact, well, partial skeleton at least, of what apparently was an ichthyosaur. Fortunately, the pumps were running, because we are not very far away from the River Thames itself. It's just over in the tree line there, and being so close to the river, there was a fair trickle of water coming in from the sides of the pit, so the pumps were having to continually run to keep the pit clear of water, else we would have been swimming. So that sparked off an excavation down here, and as we will see back in the museum, we have the the specimen displayed beautifully in the attic. So there we are. A very boring scene now, but a very exciting environment back in the 1980s. Well, we're back in Abingdon Museum, and we've just walked down to Pepo Day Lane and seen where the Ichthyosaur was discovered, now a lake. But we're now back in the museum, and if we take a look at this photograph, it's a photo montage, a series of photographs of the Ichthyosaur that was found down at the lake at Pepo Day Lane. It shows this in the ground with the clay background after the gravel has been removed, and you can still see little traces of superficial spills of gravel around the collection of bones here. But referring back now to what we have in front of us in the other showcases in the gallery, in the attic gallery, with reference to what were the other creatures like that were existing in the marine environment 155 million years ago, in addition to the Abingdon Ichthyosaur. First, looking at this showcase in front of us here, we've got a wonderful example of a vertebrae from another large beast, which I believe is a what they call a Plesiosaur, which is a fossil crocodile. A friend of mine that collected locally in the gravel pits around Thrupp and down at Pepo Day Lane collected a wonderful example of one of these Plesiosaur crocodiles. I think he had as far as I can recall, a run of vertebrae exposed in the clay down at these pits, and this was back in the 1980s that he was also discovering some lovely fossils. So if we can move over to this other showcase, we have in this one some more fascinating treasures. In particular, if we can look at the back of the showcase here, we've got this graphic shows a Plesiosaur which has this sort of green colouring on it, and then we also have Plesiosaurus, and this one is defined by a long neck and quite a small skull, but you can just about pick out some very nasty looking teeth on this creature. And in front of this graphic we have an example of a vertebrae from one of these creatures, and they're distinctive in their own right, these vertebrae, and having a rather flattened articulating surface with the next set of vertebrae, and very marked bosses for the anchorages for ribs, and also at the bottom end here we have the sockets for the neural spines. And I mean, these creatures would have been quite massive, and this is all in relation to some damage, some predator damage on the jawbone of the Ichthyosaur, which is behind our camera person at the moment. And that, I don't know if the camera can pick it out, but we're walking back along the attic gallery now, and if you can see where I'm pointing, there's some rather gnarled looking areas on this piece of jawbone here, and that has been interpreted recently as some predator damage which has healed during the life of this of the Ichthyosaur.